So imagine this. You wake up, you grab your coffee, you sit down at your little optimized workstation, and you just start working. Now, wasting time in traffic or these unnecessary distractions, just pure productivity in the comfort of your own home. Sounds great, right? And why the hell are companies still forcing employees to go back into the office when a lot of these jobs are just done on a computer and can be done anywhere? Now, before we dive into this, I want to acknowledge that I have family members in healthcare who have to be at the hospital. I know people in warehouses or construction sites, and going in is not negotiable. So those of you who have to work like that, I get that this is going to sound like a soft, privileged complaint, and you're right. I mean, it's kind of like the episode of The Office where Daryl is calling out Michael Scott for trying to compare his office work to warehouse work. It's not the same thing. It's Nerf ball, as Daryl would say. That said, for those of you that do have computer jobs that don't require you to go into the office, and if you force people to commute, it's just not necessary, it's outdated, and counterproductive. So let's talk about why commuting is not the best. So the average US commute is around 27.6 minutes one way, which is by the US Census Bureau, and that's over 5 full work days lost per year. And in cities like Los Angeles and New York, it's often closer to 10 days. So you're spending time, unpaid time, just to sit in traffic. And a University of Cambridge study said that long commutes led to higher stress, lower job satisfaction, and worse mental health. The American Psychological Association said that commuters have higher cortisol levels, leading to anxiety, fatigue, and depression, which can increase risk of high blood pressure, poor sleep, and burnout. So, instead of rolling out of bed and just starting your day fresh at home, you've already spent an hour in traffic and you're feeling mentally drained before work even begins. And then you're tired because you've had a long day at work and interacting with a bunch of people, and you're exhausted. You have to drive home, and it's hard to enjoy your personal life because of how tired you are. The Owl Labs did a study where 74% of employees said they would be less likely to quit if remote work was an option. 56% said they would rather quit than go back to the office full time. So there's a trend, a growing theme that people are wanting work-life balance and flexibility, and commuting is a big killer of that. So why are companies still trying to force in-person work? Well, a lot of old school leadership, a lot of these executives built their career in office culture and struggle to believe that remote work is just as effective. They still think that remote work is special treatment and resisting this kind of change. They equate to being time in the office as productivity, even though research has shown that output is not a direct correlation to mere attendance. Another possible reason why that companies are resisting change and wanting to keep people in the office is that these offices and companies have signed leases with these buildings for 5 to 10 years, and they don't want to waste money having their employees work at home and lose millions of dollars on unused office space. Another idea is the company culture. If you have remote work, that weakens team bonds, reducing engagement with others so everyone can hold hands and sing Kumbaya to their heart's content. But the thing is that most people, when they're truly working together at a computer job, the crazy thing is that they're actually working on a computer. So it's easier to share your screen and show your computer if another person is on their computer too. I know that's a mind-boggling concept, but Microsoft study showed that office workers actually spend 57% of their time communicating instead of working. So how is that collaborating with anyone? Now, I know that some industries, maybe it's healthcare, finance, or government, where they worry about cybersecurity risks with remote work, and I get that. Maybe going into the office reduces the chances of data leaks, but the reality is that there's proper security protocols in place that can help solve this issue without forcing a commute. And so it really seems like companies, some of them just don't trust employees to be as productive without this constant supervision. And maybe someone where they work remote and the company uses a surveillance tool to monitor their employees. Like, there are tools out there that are literally tracking your mouse clicks, what you're looking at, and if you're inactive. Maybe you go in the bathroom and then you eat a snack and you get dinged because you've been away from your computer for 25 minutes. That is not flexibility, and that is not true remote work. Now, I know I've been crapping on not companies not letting you go work remotely, but believe it or not, that's not my point. My point is that it just shouldn't be forced. It should be a choice, or at the very least, a hybrid approach. Maybe a day or two of going into an office, so you still get out of the house, you're still interacting with other humans, but it's not required like a classroom taking attendance of you need to be here every day. Because as long as you're getting your work done, who cares how or where it's done? We're adults here. Allowing remote work isn't just for the people, it's not just for the employees. It can actually help businesses too. And in fact, companies that are embracing remote work are saving money, increasing their productivity, and keeping their best talent. So let's talk a little bit about that. When companies allow remote work, there was a Gallup study done where it found out that employees that have to be replaced when they leave cost 50 to 200% of their salary. So you may have to pay for 2 people if they leave. And companies with flexible workplaces had 40% lower turnover. Another thing is that you actually have higher productivity. A Stanford study showed that remote workers are 13% more productive than in-office employees, probably because of that 57% of talking rather than getting work done. Why is that the case? Why are people more productive? Well, they have fewer distractions, longer focus periods. And then there was a global workplace analytics study that showed that companies who utilize at least a hybrid approach so that they can have a smaller office space, less real estate, less utilities and parking office supplies, they can save about $11,000 per year per employee, which is massive. Don't companies want to keep more money in their pockets? Another thing is that remote work attracts top talent. Younger generations are actively choosing jobs that allow remote work. So if you have some badass chick in cybersecurity and she has 2 job offers, both for, let's say, $500,000. She's super good. Company A allows remote work, company B doesn't. She's going to probably choose the one with the remote work. More flexibility, and so you keep the best people. So it's like companies are saying they want innovation, they want efficiency, and they want growth, but when given the opportunity to embrace a better, more productive way of working, a lot of them are resisting. They fight this remote work, not because it doesn't work, but because it forces them to rethink everything they thought they knew. But history is full of industries that clung to outdated models out of fear of the unknown. Back in the day, horse-drawn carriage makers laughed at the automobile. Blockbuster ignored streaming, and factories resisted automation. Every time, the companies that adapted thrived, and the ones that refused, you don't hear about them. So this isn't just about working from home for computer-based jobs, it's about the future of computer-based work itself. And the question isn't should remote work stay, because the truth is it's already here and we have the facts to back it up. The real question is, will these companies evolve, or which ones are going to become relics of the past? Now let me know what you think. Do you agree with this take on remote work for computer jobs? Do you disagree? I would love to hear what you think. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time.